The GOAT Shadow Swampert going to be investing the final Protect Shield on the incoming Surf. Win con is very simple. We've just got to farm up to the back-to-back Hydro Cannons. One will be taking care of Lantern and one will be taking care of Talonflame. However, that is an IV-dependent CMP, so we're going to pivot out into Skarmory, catch the Fly, throw one Steel Wing and the Brave Bird, and Skarmory is a Talonflame counter confirmed. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. We're in Season 17, very appropriately named Timeless Travels, and we're doing a throwback all the way back to my first ever Triple Shadow Legend team way back in Season 8. The team is based around the classic Swampert Skarmory core. This season Skarmory got a huge buff, with Steel Wing now being a pretty good move. It's now a Poison Jab clone. The save switch on the team will be the channel mascot Drapion. Back in Season 8 I did use Poison Sting, Aqua Tail and Sludge Bomb. However today we're opting for a more functional moveset of Crunch and Sludge. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game number 1 we see the battle of the Buff Flyers. Type and advantage most certainly not with me, so we're going to see their pivot into the channel mascot Drapion. The opponent stays in, we fire off the Crunch. Crunch forces us early shield advantage, and just look at the boosted Incinerate damage. Incinerate now the first ever 4 damage, 4 energy move in the game, and it is very fucking oppressive. Holy! Of course, I can't return with Skarmory, so I'm forced to send out Swampert. The opponent, not switch lock, send out Trevenant, and we're going to need to stall out the switch timer. If you're going to run Talonflame, of course you're going to have a hard Lantern answer, and this opponent has Trevenant. 2 Hydro Cannons from Shadow Swampert do knock out this pesky tree. However, switch timers are misaligned. I'm going to build up a boatload of energy, look to catch the Seed Bomb. The opponent hold their energy. Skarmory, of course, isn't going to get a Protect Shield. Hopefully with Trevenant out of the way, Swampert will do goat things in the end. We tank the Shadow Ball, commit to the full. Steel Wing farm down, back out comes Talonflame. We go for their kill shot. Brave Bird vanquishes Talonflame, back to their Pokeball. And would you look at that, this opponent has double grass, and Swampert unfortunately has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. We YOLO the Earthquake, the opponent invests that Protect Shield, and unfortunately we're going to be off to a 0-1 start. With Earthquake being nerfed last season, I think a strong argument can be made that you could run Sludge as a secondary move. However, the opponent shielded the nuke regardless. Moving on to the next battle, we see Skarmory into Frostlass, and holy, just look at the Steel Wing damage. The opponent only builds to 6, so hopefully this is a triple axle. This opponent actually still on Avalanche, and that does a huge amount of neutral damage. However, Skarmory withstands the damage, returns fire with the Sky Attack, and we win lead. The opponent send in a Azumarill, and we're going to pivot into the mascot. Azumarill farms up some energy. The opponent then makes a very nice attempted Sludge Bomb catch onto Ferrothorn. However, I hold my energy, fire off the Crunch. Crunch lands for big damage, and Drapion already at the second Crunch. Drapion so incredibly spammy, the opponent invests their first Protect Shield. We even get a cheeky defense drop, meaning the next Crunch will knock out. The opponent builds to 6. I respect the potential Flash Cannon. The opponent bait me with the Power Whip. However, they then only go for another Power Whip, and that's an easy tank for Drapion. We can then throw 1 Poison Sting and the Crunch for optimal fast move time. And where does the opponent want to invest that final Protect Shield? They're putting all their hopes and dreams on the mighty Blue Mouse, but Drapion reaches the Sludge Bomb. The opponent shows no respect. They near get one-shot Big Bad Bulky Azu, suddenly not looking so bulky. The opponent left deep into the red. We send out Swampert, give him the cheeky show and go, catch the charge move onto Skarmory, which is actually the Hail Mary Hydro Pump. In comes Swampert, we mod shot farm down and take that game. Heading into the next battle, Skarmory into Wish Daddy Cash. Back in Season 8, Skarmory would be very advantageous in this matchup as the opponent could only hit us for neutral with the Blizzard. However, our Ice Ashes also used to hit for neutral, whereas our Steel Wings are now resisted. The opponent throw the Scald, then make a very nice catch, catching the Brave Bird onto their own Skarmory, but undeterred. I'm going to bank the Sky Attack and pivot out into Drapion. The channel mascot going to be used as the damage sponge in this battle. The opponent throw the Sky Attack. We withstand the damage. I'm then going to over farm. Throw the Crunch. Crunch will be very close to knocking out. It will depend how good the opponent's IVs are. The opponent's Skarmory survives on a sliver of HP. Reach the last second Sky Attack, and we're just going to take the soft loss in the mid game. I see this as a nice opportunity to come in with Swampert, get a running start. Swampert gets a nice 2 mod shot. Running start, and back out comes Wish Daddy Cash. This is Shadow on Shadow crime. Does the opponent respect the incoming Hydro Cannon? Yes, they do. Wish Daddy Cash going to return fire in the Battle of the Mud Boys, and I'm going to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent send the Scald, so good shield on my part. However, I do get greedy, over farm, and I don't want to invest the final protection. I hope the opponent bait with a Mud Bomb, and they do. We withstand the damage, then look to throw the Hydro Cannon on the CMP tie to the next Mud Bomb. Hydro Cannon will be knocking out, but the opponent actually invests that Protect Shield, and now I'm thinking, what the hell is in the back? Swampert rapidly running out of HP. I'm going to bank the Earthquake, go for the snipe. Skarmory gets its redemption after the opponent caught the Brave Bird earlier. Sky Attack secures the knockout, and out comes the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. And unfortunately for them, this Firebird does not appreciate the drink. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Yikes. Definitely not what we want to see. The silly electric fish, we say switch into Drapion, and the opponent answers with Greninja. However, do they know? We're going to full send the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb goes unshielded, and just like that, we get given the opportunity to realign, and thank you very much. I shield the Hydro Cannon, commit to the full Poison Sting farm down. And should the silly electric fish wish to return, Drapion still not done. Back out comes Lantern, and Drapion reaches the Crunch. Crunch only hits for neutral, but Drapion hits like a truck, rocking Lantern down below half health. The opponent needs a Thunderbolt to secure the knockout. Does the opponent full send? Yes, they do. Good play from the opponent. However, we can now send out Swampert, the opponent, then pivot out into Tropius, and alignment is absolutely king. I've gone from being hard counter to hard countering the opponent, all thanks to the power of the mighty Shadow Drapion. Tropius can only hit for resisted, and Skarmory, despite being Shadow, just does not care. The opponent throw Aerial Ace after Aerial Ace. I'm not going to be able to get the full Steel Wing farm down, so I'm going to throw the Sky Attack. We're going to go for an undercharge. I need to try and leave with as much energy as possible. As the opponent still has 2 Protect Shields, I'm going to look to get off 2 Brave Birds. Back out comes Lantern. I send Brave Bird. Number 1, the opponent shows no respect and save 2 shields for next season. Heading into the next battle. This is actually against Play Pokemon's first ever world champion, Dancing Rob. So huge shout out to Dancing Rob, who has proven himself to be one of the best players in the world on the very biggest stage. We lead Skarmory into defense Deoxys, catch the Thunderbolt onto Drapion. The opponent goes for their own catch, catching the resisted Crunch onto Carbink. However, I hold my energy, throw the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb hits for neutral, but this stupid butt plug is so thick. 2 Sludge Bombs just aren't going to get the job done. The opponent tanks both, commit to the full Rock Throw farm down. Skarmory Steel Wings would hit for double super effective. However, Skarmory's already got residual energy, so I'm going to opt to send in Swampert, shield the potential Moonblast. I think high level players are unlikely to bait, and Rob doesn't disappoint. Full send in Swampert, gets a huge Mud Shot farm down, and we leave at 100 energy. The opponent then sends in Defense Deoxys without waiting out their clock, catching me off guard. They throw the Psycho Boost, I pivot back out into Skarmory, and there is Licky, far too thicky, and Skarmory's about to put his bulk to the test. This is one of these neutral matchups where you can see just how good Steel Wing is. Air Slash was just far too clunky. Skarmory completely walls Licky, far too thicky's moveset of Power Whip and Body Slam. Where does Rob want to invest these Protect Shields? Sky Attack goes unshielded. Skarmory gets the full Steel Wing farm down. I should commit to the Brave Bird here. However, I get excited knowing the game's over. Throw the Sky Attack, but Sky Attack leaves the opponent far too low, and it looks like back-to-back games. The opponent's going to save 2 shields for next season. GG's and thanks for playing. It was an honour, buddy. Moving on to the next one. Back-to-back, Defense Deoxys leads. We're going to do the same thing. Counter 8. Look to catch the Thunderbolt onto Drapion, and we're 2 for 2 on catches. Let's see what this opponent is going to counter swap. They send out Gligar. Gligar looks to get off the Aerial Ace, but Drapion has the higher attack, wins the charge move priority event, and Crunch lands for decent neutral damage. Drapion has done its job, and we're going to look to try and Steel Wing farm this Gligar all the way down. The opponent gets 2 more wing attacks, however this energy isn't all that useful. In comes Skarmory, and just look again how oppressive these Steel Wings are. Dig is a decent move, it's single resisted, but Skarmory, even as a shadow, shows its bulk. The opponent only going to reach an Aerial Ace, and Skarmory will easily survive. We're going to leave at 100 energy, and what does the opponent want to send out? They send out Skarmory. We're going to look to put this thing into Hydro Cannon range with the Brave Bird. Brave Bird lands, we pivot into Swampert, and I'm just going to keep farming up energy. The opponent is going to throw a Sky Attack. We're going to shield this up, continue to overfarm, and when Deoxys returns to the battlefield, we're going to spam them with the Hydro Cannons. The opponent, recognising the game's over, concede the match. Oof, another Lantern. My god, do I hate this silly electric fish. This one is on Water Gun, so not the worst for Skarmory, but by no means a good matchup. We say switch into Drapion. The opponent absorbs the Crunch, then send out Vigoroth, and Vigoroth also going to get that Crunch treatment. Drapion just so spammy, getting Vigoroth down below half health. The opponent is going to fire off the Body Slam, and we're not going to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent now has a party trick of their own, as a Rock Slide is now going to hit for neutral, whereas before Skarmory would completely wall Vigoroth's usual moveset of Body Slam and Bulldoze. Rock Slide lands, getting us below half health. Skarmory commits to the full Steel Wing farm down. Out comes Lantern. I'm going to YOLO the Brave Bird and then pivot into Swampert. Brave Bird goes unshielded. We pivot into Swampert and the opponent pivot out into the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Bird of Death, but in the 2 shields. This is going to be game, set and match. The only thing I've got to be mindful of is by the time we've both thrown 2 charge moves apiece, the opponent will have the chance to make a catch. The opponent, of course, going to go straight Flame Charge. However, I don't care. I've got 2 Protect Shields, and unlike a lot of my opponents today, I intend to use them. You can see just the boosted Incinerators have already got us below half health. I'm now all shields down. Switch timer will be popping up shortly. I'm looking to the right hand side. I can see my switch timer isn't up and we Simul swap. So I throw the Hydro Cannon. Not at the best timing, but at the back-to-back. 1 Hydro Cannon takes care of Talonflame and 1 Hydro Cannon will be taking care of Lantern and Swampert sweeps. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see a neutral lead against Umbreon. All of our team does alright against Umbreon, so I might look to pivot at some stage. As I've only just TM'd this thing to Steelwing, I'll be interested to see if there's actually a neutral matchup we can win. You can see our Steelwings are doing huge damage to Umbreon, and this Sky Attack should put them below half health, so it looks like only 2 Sky Attacks will get the job done. Umbreon's going to return fire with another foul play. Skarmory's going to easily survive, and we're going to outpace the Sky Attack. The opponent look to make the catch onto Lantern, I'll respond with Swampert. Despite our favourable typing, this isn't actually the best matchup in the 2 shield. Unlike Quag and Wish Daddy Cash that both got access to Mud Bomb, I've got to go all the way for an Earthquake and land it. But regardless, I full send the opponent invest that first Protect Shield. Looks like the opponent are very likely going to 2 shield, but regardless, I'm going to look to get all shields down. I shield up the next Surf. Again, I'm going to farm up, throw the next Earthquake. If the opponent shields this, they're actually going to resisted Spark Farm me down. Thanks to the Spark rebalance of last season, the opponent does get the full Spark Farm down. However, I've still got a shield advantage. I'm going to send in Drapion to operate as the damage sponge. Drapion tanks the Surf. The opponent going to outpace the Surf number 2. And of course, I'm going to have to invest my final Protect Shield. The opponent now 6 sparks away from the next charge when they pivot out into Umbreon. And Umbreon is going to eat the Sludge Bomb to their face. Hi Umbreon, bye Umbreon. As I've overfarmed, they're going to be able to outpace the returning Lantern to the Crunch. And Crunch will be securing the knockout. What does the opponent have in the back? The opponent's final Pokemon is Golbat. I look to fire off the Crunch. However, the opponent opts to throw the Poison Fang to deny my energy. However, Skarmory does have the Brave Bird banked. I send in Skarmory, throw some additional Steel Wings to ensure the Brave Bird knocks out, and that's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, another Lantern. Holy. Again, we pivot into Drapion, and this time we're answered by Metachan. Drapion pretty neutral in this matchup. 2 crunches do but essentially knock out. You can see the first one gets them below half health. So worst case scenario here is we're going to get ourselves shield advantage. Of course, the opponent's shields, they're desperate to keep that really good alignment. However, you can have Switch Trainer, I don't care. They bait with the Power Up Punch. Drapion looking to reach 1 further crunch, so the opponent wisely dump energy. Power Up Punch does knock out. We're going to send in Skarmory, commit to the full Steel Wing farm down. At worst, the opponent is going to reach a boosted Ice Punch, but Skarmory essentially dead weight. The opponent throw the Ice Punch, which gets us low, and it is Swampert time. Back out comes Lantern. However, unlike the previous battle, this time I got shield advantage. I shield the first Surf. I could throw the Earthquake, but I'm really worried the opponent is going to make a catch. We're going to tank this one. We're then going to pause a turn. I need to look to see Lantern is still on the screen, which it is. However, I make a huge blunder. So the only reason I didn't top left there is because I knew I was going to shoutcast this and I'm going to explain what I did wrong. So not only have you got to pause, you've got to wait for the fast move to start. As I paused and they paused, and they made me look very silly, making a very nice catch. And people say that content creators only show their wins. This opponent very much outplayed me, and I'm going to say a huge GG's to them. So if you are going to pause, you need to pause, wait for the fast move to start, and then throw in the middle of the fast move animation. Therefore, ensuring the opponent cannot make a catch. I've actually had a few games where we both just stood there for ages and ages, and then it's essentially a game of chicken. Moving on to the next one. Skarmory into Gligar, great lead. The opponent safe switches into Sableye, and I respond with Drapion. The opponent actually has very good knowledge of this matchup, as if you see Shadow Drapion, the correct play is just go straight foul plays. 2 foul plays are lethal, and you win CMP. Whereas if you full send the return, the opponent shields, they are going to flip switch. However, if you see a regular Drapion, the next foul play won't be lethal, but regardless, as I'm a Shadow, the opponent does secure the knockout. However, we can just send in Skarmory, as the opponent did get the defense shot. We're going to be able to Steel Wing farm all the way down before the opponent even reaches a charge move, and switch isn't all that important, as holy cow, we've got 2 very good responses for all of the opponent's remainder of the team. They send out Carbink, build up some energy, then do me a huge favour, sending out Gligar. We throw the Sky Attack, the opponent invests that Protect Shield. Now we're going to YOLO the Brave Bird. Brave Bird forces Protect Shield number 2. At this stage now, we're just going to wait for the opponent to throw energy, pivot out into Swampert, and that's going to be game, set, and match. Swampert has a 2 to no shield advantage, and all we've got to do is land 2 Hydro Cannons. The opponent bait with the Aerial Ace, but no bait will be saving this opponent's fate. The first Hydro Cannon will be getting rid of Gligar. When Stinky Binky does return, Public Enemy number 2 can also have a very nice drink, and it's going to get vanquished back to his Pokeball. Get fucking wrecked. GG's. Moving on to the next one. Another Lantern. It's here, there, and every fucking where. Again, we pivot into Drapion. The opponent stays in, then look to make a catch onto their Shadow Gligar. As it is a huge energy lead, I should be able to force a shield here in the mid-game. The first crunch does force that Protect Shield, and Drapion already at crunch number 2. As is his Shadow, it's going to get him below half health. An argument could be made that I could start shielding Drapion and look to flip switch. However, I always like to save my Protect Shields for Swampert, and today is no different. We can send in Skarmory now, commit to the full Steel Wing farm down. And worst case scenario, we're just going to YOLO some Brave Birds, that silly electric fish. Skarmory comes in, gets the full Steel Wing farm down. The opponent's final Pokemon is Talonflame. We send out Swampert. The opponent make a very nice catch, catching the Hydro Cannon back onto Lantern. But up a Protect Shield, I'm just going to go straight Hydro Cannon all the way. I'm going to shield up the incoming Surfs and then just look to double up on charge moves. You can see I'm just continually over farming. This time I do build up to the Earthquake bait with the Hydro Cannon, but I've got no intention of throwing the Quake. Hydro Cannon forces the protection, and by the time I shield up this next Surf, Lantern with the additional Mud Shots is going to find itself in Hydro Cannon range. Swampert farms up to the back-to-back. 1 Hydro Cannon will be taking care of Lantern, and 1 will be taking care of Talonflame. However, that is an IV dependent CMP, so if the opponent can make a catch, I can also make a catch. We catch the Fly back onto Skarmory. We throw 1 Steel Wing and the Brave Bird, and Skarmory is a Talonflame counter confirmed. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. Another Lantern. That's got to be like 5 or 6 in this video. Holy crap, that thing's everywhere. The opponent save switches into Metachan, and we've seen this one play out before, which you can look to get ourselves shield advantage in the mid game. The opponent go for the Ice Punch, an easy tank for Drapion. However, the opponent can't tank the next crunch, and they're likely going to crap their pants and put up that Protect Shield. The super spammy Drapion fires off the crunch. Of course, the opponent does invest that Protect Shield. We get the defense drop. The algorithm might not be in our favour, but RNG says, here you go, buddy, have a little lifeline. The defense drop will make the Steel Wing farm down a little easier. The opponent might only reach 1 Ice Punch. There's the first. Do they make the second? No, they don't. Oh, baby, it's Swampert time. The opponent sends out Wallface, then pivot back out into their silly electric fish. The opponent only has 1 Protect Shield. Too high behind, there is no baiting. Does the opponent respect the damage? Earthquake goes unshielded, get absolutely wrecked, and that's going to be check and mate. Moving on to the next one, Clodsire. Not a bad matchup for Skarmory, as the Mud Shots are single resisted. However, as the opponent's staying in, they likely have Stone Edge. The opponent throws the Stone Edge, which does decent damage, to be honest. However, Skarmory does look like it easily survives too. We then return fire with the Sky Attack, getting this Clodsire down below half health. As we're still in the green, we can easily tank this next Stone Edge. I'm going to look to fire off the Sky Attack. The opponent attempts to catch the Sky Attack onto Charger Bug, and I'll respond with Drapion. Of course, Swampert would single resist the electric type damage. However, we do want to save Swampert for Clodsire, and Drapion doesn't really fancy that work. Drapion also not a bad response. The opponent tanked the first crunch. Drapion able to reach crunch number 2 on the CMP tie, and this will be knocking out or forcing a Protect Shield. The opponent invests that Protect Shield, and again we get the defense drop. When I saw that defense drop, I was smiling ear to ear, thinking maybe I can send in Swampert, shield once, Mud Shot farm all the way down, because I'm super aggressive and leave with a whole heap of energy. We shield up the incoming X-Scissor. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down. Send out Guzzlord, and I'm YOLO in the Quake. Does the opponent respect the damage? Earthquake goes unshielded. I then pivot back out into Skarmory. Despite having a charge move, I don't throw it, as I don't want the opponent to come in, farm me down. So we tank the Dragon Claw, back out comes Swampert. Swampert gets the Mud Shot farm down, regaining some of its energy. Swampert is going to be able to outpace whatever the opponent sends out. They send out Clodsire and concede the match. Moving on to the next one. Oof, Battle of Flyers again. We're going to pivot into Drapion. The opponent stays in. Then look to make a crunch catch onto Dugong. However, crunch is what I was going to throw anyway. Perhaps they were looking to make an Aqua Tail catch. However, we don't run that nonsense. A defense drop on the first one would have been huge, as the second crunch would have probably commanded a shield. However, we don't get the defense drop the first time. We do get it the second, but either way, I'm just going to tank the Icy Wind. Drapion looks to make the next crunch. Unfortunately, we don't get it. However, we can at least come in, farm down with Skarmory, and pray Swampert sweeps once again. In comes Skarmory. Skarmory gets the Steel Wing farm down. Switch timer pops up. We pivot out into Swampert, looking to catch the Flame Charge. I'm sure if you're a returning subscriber, you know by now, I always say no grass, no problem. The opponent continuing to stay in, so we're going to start unleashing Hydro Cannons. Hydro Cannon should be forcing a Protect Shield, which it does. And of course, I'm going to have to shield, despite this probably being another Flame Charge. Swampert running out of HP, the opponent then sends out Vigoroth. They definitely don't shield Vigoroth, so we try and YOLO the Quake. Earthquake just doesn't do enough damage. Last season's Earthquake nerf has absolutely killed me here, as I can't afford to shield this Rock Slide. If the Earthquake would have just done a little bit more damage, we could have left a bit more healthy and maybe made double charge moves, but regardless, the opponent's just going to shield this Sky Attack, and unfortunately we're going to get Incinerate farm down and take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. The tough leads continue. Skarmory into a Pokemon I will be showcasing. Next up, Galvantula. We save switch into Drapion. Drapion goes straight for the Crunch. Crunch goes unshielded. Holy, Galv users usually shield everything in the Great League, myself included. I'm going to no-shield the Lunge. Lunge gets us low. However, Drapion should be able to make one further Crunch, which we do. Does the opponent want to shield the Galvantula? Yes, they do. I'm going to send in Skarmory. Call the Lunge after waiting out my timer. The opponent actually doesn't throw. I don't know if that's over tap, but I'll look and see what come in. But either way, I most certainly am not complaining. The opponent sends out Water Gun Lantern. I attempt to make a Surf Catch onto Swampert unsuccessfully. The opponent sends out Vic, and holy cow, I'm in shambles. We're not going to reach the Earthquake. We throw the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon goes unshielded. And to be honest, this game isn't quite over yet, if you're wondering why I don't top left. As they're on Water Gun, this is playable. One Sky Attack will put them into Brave Bird range, and the question is, where does the opponent spend that final Protect Shield? Speaking of shields, I've got no idea why the opponent's throwing, as the win con for them would just be to Water Gun farm me down, and I'm YOLOing the Brave Bird. Does the opponent respect the damage? No, they don't, and just like that, Skarmory is a Lantern counter confirmed. Another terrible lead. That seems to be the theme of the video. However, despite all the terrible leads, this team has returned very good results. The opponent save switches into a Pokemon I thought was a myth, Steelix. However, evidently it's alive and well. We get the defense drop on the first one. The opponent throws the Breaking Swipe. RNG says Steelix, get fucked. You're not getting that debuff. And Drapion now gonna fire off Crunch number 2, which lands for huge damage. Drapion looking to reach the next Crunch, and unfortunately we don't get New Mechanic and die with the charge move. As we got the defense drop, I'm going to send in Skarmory and look to go for the world's most aggressive farm down. The opponent's actually got Breaking Swipe, Psychic Fang. Interesting. These Psychic Fang just aren't going to add up, trainer. Please, what are you doing? The opponent get bored, pivot out into Talonflame, and it's Swampert time. Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death users love to Flame Charge bait. However, to my surprise, this opponent actually full send the Fly, and I'm glad I shielded. We then throw 2 Mud Shots and the Hydro Cannon. Talonflame gets vanquished back to their Pokeball. The opponent sends back out Steelix, and before I get debuffed, I'm just going to look to get rid of it with the Hydro Cannon. The Hydro Cannon goes unshielded. The opponent's final Pokemon is Poliwrath. Swampert looking to reach the Quake, and we make it. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Poliwrath near gets one shot, and that's going to be all she wrote. Another lost lead, however, Swampert, no grass, no problem, sweeping once again. In the next battle, we see the Battle of Flyers. Skarmory not too bad into Mantine. Despite our Steel Wings being resisted, we do also resist their wing attacks. Non-stab Ice Beam isn't all that threatening, as Mantine is a very bulky boy. The opponent throw the Ice Beam and then look to throw the Brave Bird. However, we lose CMP, and to be honest, I'm glad I did lose CMP, as I don't want to lower my defense and then take a charge move. The opponent throw the Aerial Ace, we return fire with the Brave Bird. Mantine invest that Protect Shield, and Skarmory gonna fire off Brave Bird. Number 2, is the opponent willing to 2-shield their lead? Yes, they are. Holy cow, what have you got in the back, trainer? Allow the opponent to farm me all the way down, as I want the correct alignment, as Swampert wants no part of this flying water type. The opponent throw the Ice Beam at Drapion. Drapion is going to be able to reach the Crunch on the CMP tie, and Crunch will be secure on the knockout. Swampert now has a 2-0 shield advantage. What does the opponent want to send out? I see a normal type switch in. It's actually Licky, far too thicky, and Swampert with a 2-0 shield advantage is going to be just fine here. The opponent's just going to spam out body slams. However, I am going to invest protect shields. The opponent throws the first body slam, but Swampert is at the back-to-back Hydro Cannons, and Licky, far too thicky, is clearly Licky, not thick enough. The first one lands, and then over farm, fire off the second Hydro Cannon, high Licky, bye Licky. The opponent's final Pokemon is their own Swampert. One Earthquake should be lethal. However, again, the Earthquake nerf doing me dirty. The opponent survives on 1 HP and a dream. In seasons past, the Earthquake would of course one-shot. However, it is what it is. We tank the Hydro Cannon, Poison Sting farm down, and take that game. So those were the battles of one of the strongest triple shadow teams you could possibly use. The Swampert Skarmory core has been around since the start of time, and it is back, baby, stronger than ever. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.